We're back for another edition of Halo the Series Declassified. And this time we're joined by Cortana in the flesh. That's right, the wonderful Jen Taylor is stopping by for a visit. Plus, we're gonna look at how the Halo team brought Cortana to life in the show and give you a crash course in how that immersive Covenant language came together. We're getting started in just a second, so stay frosty, Spartans. Welcome back to Reach, everybody. My name is Sydnee Goodman, and this is Halo the Series Declassified. This is a critical stop on your journey through the show we've all been waiting so long for. We've got special guests, inside looks, and so much more coming your way. Before we start our dive into episode 4, though, we've got a special message from the AI who makes Skynet blush. Take it away, Cortana.
Thank you, Sydnee. This is a priority warning for viewers that there are going to be, what was it you called them? Oh, right, spoilers. Proceed with caution.
Thank you, Cortana. She's right, there's gonna be spoilers galore throughout the episode because, you know, it is called Declassified. So go back and watch the latest episode if you haven't yet. But if you're ready to continue, we've got a real treat in store this week. Last episode, we met the one and only Cortana for the very first time, and well, I think it's safe to say that her relationship with the Master Chief is off to a rocky start. Take a look.
No, I didn't summon you.
Summon me.
This is coming from inside you, Chief?
Go away. AI off.
I'm introducing myself to the rest of the team.
Go disappear.
Joining us today is the actor who has been behind Cortana since the very beginning, the incomparable Jen Taylor. Hey Jen, welcome to Declassified.
Hi, thank you. What a thrill it is.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. Why don't we start right at the beginning? You know, you've been synonymous with Cortana for over 20 years at this point. When you took on that role, did you have any idea it would be such a consistent part of your career?
No, of course not. I was doing a lot of different video games, and in all honesty, at that point, it was just, you know, another gig that I had. It was a really fun gig, though. But I didn't know. Of course, I had no idea what it would go on to become.
Was there a moment throughout your time with the franchise where something like a light bulb went off or something really clicked where it was like, wow, this is iconic for people? Like, it really just, you realized how much Halo means to its fans?
That probably didn't start for me until I started going to conventions. When fans would come up to me and say, this game literally saved my life, or I have, you know, loved you since I was 10 or whatever, you know, that was when I really started to understand how much it was affecting people.
How has your approach to playing Cortana evolved over the years? How does playing the role in the TV series differ from playing it in the games?
Yeah, in the beginning, we started just in a booth like the one that I'm in right now. I'm not in a padded cell, by the way. This is my booth. It was just me standing in a room by myself, right? Now we moved on to doing performance capture within the games, and I am using that we're doing performance capture in the TV show as well, which has been so helpful to me because it's a medium I understand and I'm very familiar with. But yeah, it has definitely changed because now there's the onus on me of not only does, you know, what does Cortana sound like? What is she thinking? How is she emoting? But also, how is she moving? How do I best capture her physically? And that's a little different. Not that I'm not moving. Of course I am when I'm recording in a booth, you know, you're moving around. And I think fans will find she may look a little different. She has, you know, different motivations, but she's going to feel familiar, I think.
Well, and it's been really nice to have kind of that through line because, you know, this universe of Halo that we're seeing in the series is different than where we're finding ourselves in Halo Infinite, for example. But it's almost like a warm hug in a weird way to have that through line of like our Cortana.
I'm so glad I can be your hug, Sydnee, your warm hug.
My warm hug. I feel like Cortana would maybe be a colder hug, like a cool, like kind of a cold hug. I don't think she'd do kind of the rub on the back and the little pat, but hug nonetheless.
You know, when she got to know you better, maybe.
Yeah,
Take a little time. She'd warm up.
Yeah, there we go. At this point in the series, Cortana is more or less a spy for Dr. Halsey, speaking of warming up, or rather not. Chief definitely has his guard up. What's your view on the relationship between Master Chief and Cortana at this point?
Yeah, he certainly doesn't trust her, does he? And he does not want her there. It was interesting trying to justify, that's not really something I've had to do playing this role, is justify her existence, justify her presence in his life. So that's been really interesting. Having to, no, I should be here. I have things to offer you. She's constantly trying to prove herself to him, which has been, it was a really fun thing to play, a little different than I've done before. It's interesting to see how she is going to evolve within that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited to see that relationship perhaps blossom. Why do you think fans are so invested in the dynamics between Master Chief and Cortana?
Yeah, it's funny because in the beginning of the game series, again, she doesn't want to be there, right? She's in the ship and she's, why am I doing this? It's like a buddy movie, right? I mean, they're growing to understand why why they're so important. They become so close and experience things together that it would be difficult for a spouse or anybody else to experience with you. And let's be honest, she's inside him, so she's also cataloging, if you will, how he feels about things. So she's experiencing his feelings about things. What a intimate relationship. I think it's so intense. That's got to be why people have fallen in love with them as a duo. There's so many beautiful aspects of their relationship. I'm not surprised that people have fallen in love with it. Yeah. I have too, so I get it.
Yeah, me as well. We're kind of ping-ponging between talking about, the legacy as well as the series, but let's go back to the series for a second.
Right.
So looking back on episode 3, one of my favorite Cortana moments so far was when she kind of just went ahead and introduced herself to Silver Team, much to Master Chief's chagrin. What is it like getting to play off of some of the new characters in the series?
Oh, it's so fun. It's such a blast. I mean, that scene in particular was funny because I shot that by myself. I didn't get to, I think we had one day where Pablo actually was there, like in his jeans and a t-shirt or something, doing the scene. For me, I'm so delighted to work with female Spartans. That makes me really happy, to see these really strong women. And it's so strange to be like, just on a side note, walking around the set being the shortest, tiniest person, because they're all so tall. It's lovely. I mean, I'm really enjoying diving into the new storyline as well. That's always fun.
You got to be on set though. How was that?
Yeah. So what we do is we film a couple episodes at a time. We call it a block, right? And so we would go through the block and I would be on set with everybody doing my stuff. I'm generally the only person in doing motion capture. And then I would step off of camera and do my scene exactly the way we had just done it off camera. So they're having to remember where I am. Generally, I'm not moving around that much, so it's not too hard, but they have to remember where I am and what I'm doing. And I have to memorize what everybody else is doing, but not be able to see them, which is a great technical challenge. At the end of the block, we have a day set aside just for motion capture. And it's just me in a warehouse by myself, going back over everything to make sure we got everything clean.
But so it sounds like, if I'm understanding correctly, you get to watch the actors that are in the scene also with you do the scene. It's just you're not standing in the scene with them.
Yes.
Okay.
We do the scene together, and I stand there and do the scene, and then once the cameras start rolling, I have to step away because they would have to paint me out, and that would take a lot of time. So I have to step away, and I'm generally just off camera. I'm right, I'm as close as I can get to the scene so that I can still be present and feel the energy and work the scene, right? Mm-hmm. I think about when you're watching scenes, like, where where was Jen hiding in each? That's the trick. Where was Jen hiding each time they shot the scene? There's one moment in particular where we're flying in a ship, and I was actually outside of the ship, like outside of the window, talking to Pablo and shooting my scene. So that was a really joyful moment. Like I'm outside on the window. Ah.
A completely new viewing experience. So when I go back and rewatch the season,
Right?
I'll play my little "Where's Jen" hiding game.
Try to guess where I'm hiding. Yeah.
I love that. So was there anything that surprised you about this version of Cortana, even after playing the character for so long?
Yeah, she's a little more her beginnings are a little darker, aren't they? It's a different idea of why she's there and what she wants. I had to wrap my brain around that. That took me a little bit. It's fun to do, but yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, well, even seeing kind of what she is and how she becomes the Cortana that we know and love, it's really intense.
Yeah, there's yeah. Have we gotten to the point where there's acid involved? Like, has that been? Yes.
I believe we've seen acid.
Yeah. No, that whole thing, that's pretty intense, right? It's a little different than how I had always imagined her. So that feels a little darker. Mm-hmm. And my image of Cortana's beginnings has always been a little bit lighter than that. So that adds something to the depiction of her, for sure.
Well, and I think it just adds this layer of empathy for, I know myself, you think of her as an AI and she's a computer. That's fantastic. And then when you see her origins and how she's acting, I don't know. I mean, it really does just lend a layer of empathy to the character that I don't know that I had before, which is wonderful.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm so in love with her. She's such an interesting character. I mean, truly, to have that amount of information and try to, and of course, this is what she's supposed to do, right? But along with that, to learn empathy, to learn how to emote, to learn humanity in a way that, more than just words on a page. That is so beautiful. It's so powerful to me. Mm-hmm. And fun to play as, a baby emoter, basically, learning. It's really fun.
But without spoiling for future episodes,
yes.
What can you say about Cortana's role in the show and kind of her journey? Is there anything you can share without spoiling?
I don't know. It's hard. She starts to, as we said, she's on a path of learning not only numbers and figures, but learning, a lot about the people that she's with and figuring out what is right and what is wrong in the same way that Chief does in the beginning, right? That beautiful moment when Quan asks him, "Why didn't you assassinate me?" And he says, "Well, why wouldn't you?" And she said, "Because it's wrong." And he says, "That's what I thought." I think that's such a beautiful moment I think it's episode 2, right? And Cortana's starting to feel that, what is right and what is wrong, along with learning to feel, if you will. That was really fun to do. So that's something that happens. She does get a little more power. That's also fun. That's what I can share.
Awesome. Well, Jen, thank you so much for being so generous and letting us get inside the mind of Cortana. We've loved having you on Declassified. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I am fluent in an immeasurable number of languages, but I understand it is more difficult for humans to adopt new dialects. With this in mind, I've prepared a crash course in the covenant language of Sangheili. Thinking caps on, recruits.
Hi, my name is David Peterson, and I am a language creator here on Halo.
Hi, my name is Carl Buck, and I have assisted David in language creation for Halo, the show.
We're here today to teach you some Sangheili. I started creating languages at the same time that I started studying linguistics, which at this point was 22 years ago at UC Berkeley. And since then, I've been creating languages on television shows and movies as a full-time profession. When I started work on Halo, I knew it was going to be a big project, and so I wanted to hire somebody that had experience both as a language creator and could bring something with their background. And so I hired Carl Buck to work with me, and it's just been tremendous.
I met David through Twitter. There is a large language creation community, both on Twitter and other social media platforms. When he offered me the position, I took it quickly and gladly, because working on a project like this, while challenging, is also very rewarding to get to hear actors speak what we've created and worked hard on. It's very enjoyable.
Ebadochat ugak itu. Jano ok ogakak amit imijaga. Nije khashank oga. Chana.
We worked together extremely well and put together a Sangheili language that we're really proud of.
My brain tells me we have close to 250 words. That does not include variations on verbs and nouns. That's the base words.
And thankfully, like, every detail of the entire Halo universe is documented exhaustively online. We also had the back-end resources that 343 gave us that we were able to use and glean from. If you want to say what your name is in Sangheili, all you have to do is very, very simple. You just say, Jan, which means I, and then whatever your name is. So in this case, David, so Jan David, and then Ngit A. Jan David Ngit A. Very simple, right? Ngit A. Begins with a nice NG. Ngit A.
One of the first things that most people learn when they learn a new language is profanity or curse words. We didn't really create any of those for this because it's not necessary, but the elites, the Sangheili, they refer to the Master Chief with Kashanko, which is demon. You can sort of look at someone and say Kashanko, and they will probably understand that it's a put down.
Barashanko.
And that means from strength, fight.
But basically, in English, it means fight with strength, but then it means like,
It can mean hello or goodbye.
There you go.
Sort of like cheerio. It can be used coming or going.
What other Sangheili words do you know?
I think for me, hearing Charlie Murphy say John Mosikoya was really exciting. It was kind of like, wow, because I helped develop that phrase, and she says it so perfectly. Her pitch, her emphasis, her pronunciation, that really struck me.
Jan Mosikoya.
And that's actually not a bad one to know if you're beginning to study Sangheili, because that'll probably be the case for a while.
Quite an amazing opportunity for an actor. Like, it's a very rare thing that you get to just kind of delve into learning a brand new language. It's so much fun.
Neonik euk oktritanjehe.
The first thing that happens is that we get a script or a script draft. And then, Carl and I both get the script. We take a look at it. We figure out the lines that we need to translate, and we would put together a document that we would work on together at the same time.
Then we would decide whether we need to make new words or new word, and then we would go from there based on phonology and what other words we already have, etc.
And so then Carl and I both get on the phone. We both have our Google Doc open, and we sit there together and we go and translate every single line together until we are happy with it and certain that what we've got is correct. At that point, then I go and record all the lines onto MP3. So each line, and I record it just the way it's supposed to be said. Here's what he's doing.
Janorino nine waka wakijaga.
Raji, keo janoni ne traiji, janorinoni. Raji, keo janoni ne traiji, janorinoni ne waka, wakijaga. Raji, keo janoni ne traiji, janorinoni ne waka, wakijaga.
If I can, let me say something about Charlie Murphy first, because this for me was extraordinary. She basically had everything exactly right, exactly the way that I had recorded it, with little to no instruction. And she was like, "Well, do you have any notes?" And I'm like, "Well, no, that's just do it like that." I was stunned. That doesn't happen. I've worked on tons of shows. That doesn't happen.
So I've been learning through phonetics, which is just so handy. And then he sends through sound bites for him doing it. So I've no excuses, basically.
We had a lot of fun with this.
There's no telling what kind of discussions or what kind of dialogue that we're going to end up translating.
So if I was going to order a burger, I would say, "Jano mo'aba ani ro'ho ponji," which is, I will eat a moa burger.
It seems there are some fans out there ready to make their excitement about Halo known. Patching them through now.
I would define Master Chief as a leader, definitely someone to look up to.
Epicness, hero, you gotta give faith and belief in him.
Master Chief, he's a hero. He's brave. He is the secret weapon that the UNSC has against the Covenant. He's a war machine, but he's also a human. You know, I think that's the important part.
John is much more than a person. He is a Spartan.
Spartans are superhuman super soldiers raised to be these ultimate weapons against insurrectionist threats, but later reused to save humanity.
Huge, strong, very tall super soldier.
John was enhanced and trained for one purpose, to fight for us.
Definitely a guy that has been around for a very long time.
He is a super powerful fighter, fights aliens, and saves the world.
He does represent humanity. He fights for everyone. Doesn't matter, everyone.
As much as we might wish it was possible, we're not quite at the stage of technology where we all have our own Cortanas embedded into our brains. Yet we see her come alive in the show. Here's a special look at how the visual effects wizards working on Halo the series made it all happen.
We're treating each episode like a feature film. We're really doing 9 movies. It's amazing when you see something that you've only experienced in a video game, in first-person view, and in a virtual world, see that in live action, and there's something that feels so very like tangible and real, and you place yourself in that world in a very different way than you do in the game, and it's magical.
The visual effects component is massive. I mean, I was speaking with the visual effects guys, and what they have on their plate is incredibly daunting. I don't envy them their job, because they're going to be altering almost every frame of this in some way or another, and the things that they're building just from an effects perspective is huge. But then, as you said, we have a massive contingent of practical on-camera effects, and it's all anchored, by the sets that have been built that are so incredibly impressive.
So the most important thing for us and for me was, in making this, was how do you actually make this feel like a genuinely authentic and visceral experience?
Everybody that plays a part behind the scenes is instrumental in making this happen. Nowadays, so many things rely on CGI primarily and practical as a secondary thing. Halo is going above and beyond to try to use practical things as much as possible. and it's fascinating to see.
Here we are in the area where we're building Cortana, the artificial intelligence water challenge.
Yeah, today we're going to do like a big epic moment. It's the first moment that Halsey's character is going to meet Cortana.
When the game is over, the king and the pawn go back into the same box. Hello, Dr. Halsey.
It is so good to finally meet you.
We've made several attempts and prototypes, which you might see there hanging. They're different kind of blues, different kind of material, different kind of whites and grays, because then the visual effects will build on top of that.
Of course, it's a huge visual effects show, and there's an enormous amount of money being spent in visual effects.
Today is such an epic day. There are so many layers with the VFX team in there, and the profits are manned by special effects people in suits.
So, honor guards, can you go all the way back to the blue screen? Walk all the way back to the blue screen.
It's just such an epic procedure to get going. So today we're going to cover it from every angle.
As much as possible, and it sounds sort of crazy to say this, I don't want people to think of it as a visual effects show. Ideally, they don't notice them.
Wow. Okay.
From a visual effects point of view, we've really tried to kind of really embed all the visual effects in camera movement and in set design, and put as much reality in front of camera as you reasonably can, so that you feel the experience, so that you feel the show, and so that it kind of feels authentic.
Yeah, it's a real feast and a spectacle.
I look forward to working with you all.
New AI.
That's it for this episode of Halo the Series Declassified. I want to thank Jen Taylor for stopping by and talking about all things Cortana. And of course, thank you to everyone out there watching. I know you've got a lot of great TV to keep up on, so we all really appreciate you spending your time here with us on Reach. You won't want to miss next week's episode, where we'll be joined by a member of Silver Team, the incredible Kate Kennedy. You know her as Kai-125, the Spartan who removed her pellet in this week's episode, so there's definitely plenty for us to talk about with her. And of course, you can stream new episodes of Halo every Thursday exclusively on Paramount+. Until next week, I'm Sydnee Goodman. Thanks for watching. Spartans, dismissed.
Once they've got the artifact out of the rock, our mission is to get it on board Pioneer as quickly as possible before the Covenant figures out we're here. As soon as the artifact is on board, Chief wants it up into slip space and on its way back to Reach.
Hey,
I want every area of highest ground.
Do you ever wonder what they want?
Who?
Covenant.
They want what's in their cave.
Yeah, but what do they really want?
To kill us, like we want to kill them.
Do you ever wonder why?
No.
Do you ever wonder why? You never wonder why?
I wonder if all that gun grease in your hair didn't seep down into your brain, asking me dumbass questions like that.